Welcome to Modern Day Masterpiece. My name is Caleb. As always, joined by my co-host Josh Brown.
I wasn't here last week.
That is true, so not always.
Yeah, I wasn't here.
Yes.
So he's a liar.
You were here this week. But even though you weren't there last week when we did Annihilation, Death Wish, and Red Sparrow.
I watched them.
You still watched them.
I did watch
I think
them.
you had similar feelings as I did.
Which is why I didn't
We both
really...
thought Annihilation was a masterpiece. And it gets better the more I think about it.
For some reason, I thought you said Death Wish was a masterpiece, and I was getting ready to just stop you in a dead halt. But
Death Wish is trash.
that was last week. This week, we're talking about The Strangers.
Well, actually, I had put on a little poll. It wasn't necessarily a poll for me, but it technically was. I put on a poll that said, what movie would you rather go watch this week?
Why?
And that was The Strangers, Pray at Night, or A Wrinkle in Time. Because I plan on watching A Wrinkle in Time.
Backstory on this. Backstory on that, though, real fast. Is my opinion doesn't mean crap when we go to watch movies. Whatever Caleb says we're going to watch that week, we're going to watch.
For the record, I asked you what you wanted to watch. You're like, well, I haven't seen the first Stranger, so I guess it's A Wrinkle in Time. But then I said, I'm pretty sure it's 10 years later. It doesn't matter if you
let me tell you this right now. And this is nothing against A Wrinkle in Time having a all-female cast before people start shooting that
Annihilation
shit.
had an all-female cast.
Just say, well, yeah, and we loved that movie.
It was amazing, yeah.
But because people are like, oh, you didn't want to watch that because, it's an all-female cast. No, I didn't want to watch it because it looked like shit.
It looked unappealing to me, whereas
it
The
looked
Strangers...
like shit.
I watch a lot of horror movies, so even if the movie's bad, at least I like horror movies.
At least with a horror film, a.k.a. Wish Upon, it's going to be entertaining in some aspect.
Yeah, or it could be really boring and it could suck.
Which this movie doesn't.
Well, we don't want to jump right into that quite yet, but I'll be honest with you, Josh. I fully expected to come in here and just trash all over this movie because very likely do horror sequels work.
It's true.
A horror sequel 10 years after the first one, where the first one's not amazing to begin with. I know you haven't seen it, but the first one revolves around complete and utter misery. It's just these people that get tortured.
Well, I mean, this one kind of does the same thing.
Not necessarily. The first one, they get tortured for 90 minutes, and they never get the upper hand. And then, spoiler alert, they basically die. They get stabbed to death in the stomach at the end.
See, I don't need to watch the movie now.
Whereas in this one, yeah, they're getting tortured for no reason.
Don't need to watch the film. Thanks.
They get the upper hand quite a few times. That's not a spoiler. I'm just letting you know that this movie's not quite as miserable as that first one.
I had to turn the brightness down because it was just a big glare on my pale white face.
Okay. But go ahead and tell you that this one is quite a bit more entertaining than the original Strangers, whereas the original Strangers is more terrifying just because they're just relentless. This one has a little bit of an 80s nostalgia style to it.
But
for any reason, I don't know why it has that,
well, I mean,
but it has it.
Well, it's a trailer park, so that kind of...
It's a trailer park.
Everyone lives in a trailer park in the 80s, apparently.
This is not the 80s.
I know that.
Okay.
You said it was a nostalgia trip.
Everybody in the trailer park likes to bump to a Total Eclipse of the Heart, too. Apparently. Several times.
Apparently.
But right off the bat...
Apparently that is the pool that, at their pool. That's all they play.
Right off the bat with this movie, I was somewhat impressed by the acting. The acting, initially I was like, oh, the actors are trying in this movie, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because considering that we watched the movie last week called Death Wish where nobody tried.
Oh my god.
So it's like yes, we got a movie that...
There's a board over there that does a pretty good Bruce Willis impression.
a movie that I was expecting to be bad has good acting. That's a good first step. Secondly, it's developing our lead character played by Bailey Madison, who's been in such stuff as Just Go With It, the Adam Sandler movie, Bridge to Terabithia, which is a really, really good movie.
Oh god!
And she's been in a couple other things. But mostly she hasn't been in a lot of stuff, but this girl is a talent to look out for. They develop her character, and what I really respect about this movie is that they set up something that she did. She has to go to boarding school for some reason. And you think the whole movie they're going to explain why and what she did, but the movie never does. And I'm like,
I bet people will go into watching this film and being like, well, they never told me why she was going to boarding school. I hate it.
I
hate this movie because of that.
I made this,
God forbid, mystery.
In my brain, in the first act, I was like, if they don't explain what happens to her, I will bump this movie up like an extra grade, almost, just for that. Well, and it never did, so I'm not sure I bumped up an extra grade for that, but I'll give it its due. Secondly, yes, the strangers that are terrorizing them, there's no reason for why they're doing this. So if you're expecting a plot for this movie, if you're expecting a plot, you'll be sadly mistaken. But that's what this movie is. That's what the first movie did.
Go ahead.
I was done. I was just saying that's what the first movie did.
I want to go into the overall vision of the film. Yeah. And it's very dark. It's filmed very
it is. It's all in the nighttime.
Dark.
Yeah, it's all in the nighttime.
However, I cannot get past... I remember what it was that I cracked up so bad at last night. It was the porch light. the front porch light that was off, then on, then off.
Was it because everything else was off? Because
Yes, everything else was off, and then a different take, like a different angle, it was on just so you could see the character's face.
Also,
and then it was off again, and I'm just sitting there going.
Also, if you're walking in this movie looking for logic,
you check it at the door,
check
folks.
Out the door.
You ain't gonna get it this one.
But to my surprise, you know what? I had a lot of fun with this movie.
Is it
a actual good horror movie? I wouldn't say so, but it has a lot of good parts.
It's entertaining.
It's very entertaining.
It's entertaining. And I absolutely can. May I get on a soapbox?
Sure.
I hate jump scares in horror films.
There's a couple good
they
ones.
are so. To me, they are cheap horror.
And there's a couple fake out ones here that are
right.
Yeah,
and to me, if you want to make something scary, there's nothing more scarier than a sick feeling. Like Don't Breathe. Don't Breathe is more of a sick feeling horror film compared to jump scares. Jump scares to me just feel like, oh, well, we can't write anything better. Let's throw a jump scare in there. Let's throw something at the screen or make a loud noise, make people jump. That's not horror.
The Annabelle formula.
Yeah, to me that's not scary. The Sinister formula, where the only scary part in the first Sinister film is a jump scare in an attic. But to me, jump scares always feel cheap. I hate them in films. It takes me out of a film when I see them. They usually suck. However, the one jump scare that got both of us.
It got me. Can't lie.
In the film, it felt right there.
And I'm glad you brought that up because that is basically the kickoff of the third act is when that scene happens.
Yeah.
And I will say everything from that particular jump scare on, with the exception of the last 30 seconds, which whoever wrote that last 30 seconds, you need to be fired because it has a bad ending.
Who wrote the film? Brian Bertino and Ben Katai?
I don't think
my phone went off.
I don't think he wrote the ending.
Let me turn that off.
I think the studio wrote the ending to this movie.
Well, I mean, either or.
It's a bad ending. It's an unfortunate ending. But with that being said, that jump scare you talk about at the beginning of the third act, everything that happens from there on out in the third act, I think is an absolute blast. The set pieces and the way it's shot. You know, this is the guy who directed 47 Meters Down. And it's funny.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny that there's a really cool water scene in this movie, too, that takes place in a pool. That's just visually, very impressive and really good acting and just some really good action. I know, the first movie wasn't necessarily an action movie, but this one plays more like an 80s slasher movie, like a Jason movie or a Halloween movie.
What I was going to say was, as far as the way it's filmed is that you go into a movie like we did last. We went into 3 movies last week.
Yeah.
And we saw, and I'll go back to this because I wasn't here last week to talk about it, but we talked about Death Wish, Annihilation, and Red Sparrow. 3 completely different films.
Yes.
None of them are horror films. None of them are.
Annihilation's kind of.
Well, it could be. It
has some horror elements.
It walks the fine line.
Yeah.
But as far as the overall tone and gore of a film, you would think Death Wish would be a pretty gory film by the premise of what it is. It's a revenge. No. That's what I'm getting at. It's a revenge flick.
Yeah.
And other than the one particular scene that you talked about in the body shop, there's not a lot of gore in that film.
No.
Strangers 2, though, has some really good.
And I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that it has as much gore as Death Wish, but it's more effective.
It's
gore. For some reason, whenever I actually see someone getting stabbed in the back with the knife, and you barely even see anything.
You don't even see anything.
That's effective to me.
Well, the thing of it is, it's not when the person, not to name anything, gets stabbed. It portrays it as someone that would get stabbed.
Yeah.
In Death Wish, when a person, and
it's very
spoiler alert,
it's very
when a person falls off a balcony and their neck gets broken in a certain fashion, it's comic.
It's Looney Tunes.
It's a Looney Tunes comic.
And in this, it all feels pretty.
It all feels
real.
down to earth.
Yeah, it feels
down.
real.
It's like boots on the ground with it. It's not like jumping out and all this stuff.
Yeah, but this sounds like we're praising this
Oh
movie.
no, there's some flaws.
I think the whole second act is bad. The whole second act is a bad movie because it falls into horror tropes.
Oh well, no, the first act falls into horror tropes.
I don't know. The first act is more set up the characters.
Yeah, but
they're just moving.
But at the same time, though, some of the characters have the same horror movie tropes that almost all horror comedies. Listen to me.
Yeah,
horror films have. You have the father who is, all of a sudden super protective and he knows what he's doing and blah, 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 blah. He had military training, which he doesn't have in the film, but that's the way he was almost portrayed. No, remember I said that to you. It's like, this guy's going to have military training. I have a gun. I know how to use it. I bet you do,
And also the parents are dumb because...
And the parents are dumb.
Because whenever the kids come back and say, hey, somebody that we know has been murdered, we found his body in the house, they're like, we'll go check it out. And then we'll try and call somebody. Yeah. So why would you call somebody immediately? It's just...
Even if there's nobody there.
And it's those kind of things
that's a policeman's job.
It's those kind of things that bring the movie down.
It brings it,
especially in that second act. It's like, okay, movie, we need to get some goofy horror stuff here. And luckily, it does go to the goofy horror stuff, but it does it really, really well. And at least I thought it did. Like I said, the set pieces are really good. The gore is just enough. It's not over the top.
You got to understand with you and me, we both have a difference of opinion when it comes to horror films. Yeah. You will walk out of a horror film and be like, that's okay. If I walk out of a horror film and I'm not mad about it, then fine.
Yeah.
And I think it's mainly because for me, I'm a fan of those old Jason, Freddy Krueger, Scream, slasher flicks.
Yeah.
So, I guess I hold slasher flicks to a higher standard than, and of course I say that, but yet, the later Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers movies are just garbage. But sorry, they're garbage, folks.
But not the Scream ones. They're all good.
Don't tear me down in the comments just because I don't like your other horror movies.
All the Scream movies are kind of good, though. So.
Yeah, Scream movies are okay.
Three's
But if I walk out of a horror film and not angry, then I'm going to be... it would be one of those movies that I may not ever watch again.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to watch it with someone else, then I'll be like, hey, let's watch this movie. Because you might like it.
The main thing with this movie to me is that while it is not an amazing horror movie in the slightest, I think if you get together with a group of friends on a Saturday night and just go watch this in a packed theater... Everybody will have a blast. I think this is a crowd-pleasing movie.
The one thing for me that, and it's, I can't really say it without giving it spoils. Well, not necessarily. Is they did the one horror movie trope that I can't stand, and it just gets on my nerves because it's in every single movie.
Can you not say
I can say
okay.
If you have a gun, and you're pointing it at one of the antagonists
that's already
killed someone that shoot them in the face.
That's why.
Shoot them in the face.
I think that happening made what happened later better, though.
It?
Yes, because that was amazing. Something happens later with the character, and they are not messing around. They're like, nope. It's game time.
That means you could have done that with the other character.
But that other character was kind of a weak character.
But it doesn't matter, though.
Bailey Madison is the only thing that matters in this movie. She is the movie. Her and the strangers. Her brother doesn't matter that much. Her mother and father definitely don't matter too much.
No.
If you're working in this movie for Christina Hendricks, I'm sadly mistaken. She's not in the movie that long. Slight spoilers, but she's not in the movie very long. Yeah. Not to say she does a bad job. She's not in the movie very long. This is Bailey Madison's movie. I think this will get her a lot of roles in the future, maybe horror movies, because this is a real good scream queen kind of role for her.
Yeah, I can see her being in more films like this one, but I would hope that she doesn't fall into that typecast.
Which it's sort of like that Jane Levy thing where she was in Evil Dead and Don't Breathe. Yeah, and I think this might be a stronger overall performance because she emotes so well in this movie. Like her emotion, I'm like wow, it seems like she can just cry on an instant. She spends a lot of time crying.
Yeah,
and it's amazing.
Well, the thing of it is that she's crying from the first 6 minutes in the film till the end. She's
clearly distressed and disturbed as a teenager.
As a person,
But yet again, we don't know everything, and I like that. I like that we don't know everything about her. But here's another small flaw, maybe. I don't know. But one of these strangers might as well be Jason or Michael Myers. Because some of the stuff that they endure... I didn't want to give that away, but it's okay. But
that's
the man in the mask is the main stranger.
He's the main stranger, and that's not a spoiler.
And the stuff that he endures in this movie just keeps walking away from. Like no. Whereas in the first one, man, I'm telling you, those strangers do not take. I don't think they take one hit, man. It's just they literally just.
It almost brings them down to earth, or bring them down to a humane level. But I'm like you at the same time. It's like okay, you're trying to base this as people just being crazy and doing this because they want to. They don't have supernatural.
They do it because they can.
Yeah, they don't have supernatural.
But I think the only way that would have worked for me if the man in the mask why you find out why he's so strong is that you find out that it's actually the character from The Guest, played by Dan Stevens, who's a government experiment.
We talked about that.
That's the only way that would have been acceptable.
Yeah.
But that is a small nitpick compared to the bad second act and just the awful ending. It's just a really bad... It's a bad note to end this movie on. They could have ended it with actual emotion, but instead they end it like a horror movie. Yeah. And I hate those I hate those Ouija-type endings. You know, like Ouija 2 had a bad ending? Yeah.
Like, to me, if you would have ended the movie in...
End it 30 seconds sooner. Like, seriously.
Yeah, like a minute. Well, not even 30 seconds sooner. You could have ended it... You could have ended it where it was.
Yeah.
But sliced off the last, 15 seconds of the film.
Yeah.
You could have ended it where it ended, but it's how you ended it. And that, I'm like you, that bumped it down a little bit, and the second act bumped it down.
We are very hard on horror movie endings. Because a lot of them, they do not nail the landing.
They don't.
They didn't here either. And
you got to stick those landings.
I'm trying to think of the last horror movie that really, really stuck the landing. Cloverfield Paradox. Seen? Just kidding. It didn't.
That we've seen.
Is this the first horror movie this year for us?
Cloverfield.
That doesn't really count. That's more of a sci-fi movie. Annihilation's the scariest movie we've seen in a long time, but it's not necessarily a horror movie. And Annihilation sticks the landing so hard.
The Bye-Bye Man.
We never watched that.
We should.
But The Strangers Pray at Night is
Chris Stuckman has the hilariosity. He hasn't done it yet.
The Strangers Pray at Night is a very adequate, well-made horror movie that falls into unfortunate tropes for a small little bit of the movie.
Yeah.
But then it brings it back. And it's just a fun time, I think. I enjoyed this movie.
What are you going to give it?
It's not something I'd rush out and watch again, but I'd recommend it to anybody that likes horror movies.
See, and that was me when people were asking us yesterday when we were coming out of the theater, is it good? It's not good.
I think that it's a fine...
I think it's a fine movie.
It's but good, as a horror movie, with the bar that we've raised to horror movies over the past couple of years, it pales in comparison to a lot of the stuff. So it's not good in that regard, but it's okay. I think it's an okay movie. It's
a good popcorn flick.
It's not scary at all.
That's what we'll call it. It's a good popcorn flick.
It is a good popcorn flick. It's a good midnight movie. I'm giving this movie a C+.
Okay.
Because I can't get to that B- range because I gave a movie. I watched another horror movie earlier this year called The Ritual on Netflix, and I gave that a B-. And
I watched Raw this year. Do you want me to get into that with you?
Raw's a masterpiece, but The Ritual, I gave The Ritual a B-, and I don't think The Strangers is really anywhere close to as good as The Ritual.
Probably not.
But it's more entertaining, to say the least. So, I give The Strangers Pray at Night a C+. What do you give it?
I give it a C.
A C.
I give it a C. It's right in the middle of the road. I wasn't angry when I left. I wasn't super excited when I left. So, right in the middle of the road.
I think my review that I typed up last night, I think it slightly does more good than bad.
Yeah.
And I think
definitely.
And I think that's... And for big studio horror movies that are dumb, I think that's... You gotta applaud that somewhat.
Yeah. You're not gonna leave the movie theater watching this movie and go, God, that was just the dumbest horror movie I've ever seen.
It is kind of dumb, but it's fun.
No, I mean, I'm talking like dumb as in you're gonna go in and just be like, oh, that movie sucked. I hate it.
More people are likely to come out and call Annihilation stupid than calling The Strangers.
Yeah.
This is just more crowd pleasing on every level.
This is the thing, when we pick movies to go watch, we most of the time go by RT Metacritic scores, which we've talked about in the past. But this, I would almost say this is a movie that critics are getting a little wrong. I wouldn't.
It's got a 50 on Metacritic, and I think that's a good balance because there's a good chunk of critics that are giving this between a 60, 70. Some of them are giving it 50s, and only a couple people are giving it really negative reviews. But on YouTube, people that I trust, they've all been saying this is a decent.
It's a good little popcorn flick.
It's not going to make any top 10s at the end of this.
Catch a matinee of it.
Sure. Or catch it right at the latest possible time. Don't watch this at the earliest time.
Yeah.
Either catch us at a matinee or at 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because I think that'll help because it's dark outside. You'll come outside and the whole entire movie's in the dark outside. So that'll be the only thing that'll make this movie scary.
Do you know it costs $5 million, Frank?
Is it really?
$5 million.
I believe that because
$5 million.
I totally believe that.
The first Strangers movie was only $9 million.
This cost less than that?
Yeah. That's
crazy because
I thought about that when we were watching.
That's crazy because this movie is so much more impressive on a filmmaking level. Whereas the first one's scarier because it's just
they threw all the money at the pool scene.
It's really good. I think they spent $3 million on that pool scene and the thing that came after the pool scene.
What's
with
the
the
thing?
baseball bat.
The thing is, you don't have Liv Tyler.
That is true.
To put all the money into
man,
it.
you're totally right. There's no big names.
There's
in this.
no big names.
I even doubt the same people that played the Strangers played them in this.
Well, let's find out real fast.
Let's find out. I was curious about that.
No, different people.
Okay.
Yep.
The Mormon Boys. That was the first one, isn't it? The Mormon Boys that show up at the end of the first one. Remember, I was talking to you last night.
He's talking to me like I know the movie.
You need to watch this. I think this somewhat feels like a soft reboot of The Strangers, because as far as I'm concerned, tonally, this is nothing like the first movie. So it feels like they're just like, it's like, hey, that was a decent concept. Let's make it more fun.
Here's the thing: they're going to make their money back on this film.
Oh, no doubt.
And more so.
Yeah, no
Because
doubt.
I mean, the first Strangers movie.
Expect a sequel to this.
Oh, definitely. Because the first Strangers movie went $83 million.
I was surprised there wasn't a sequel immediately after
well, it was announced in August. In August of 2008, it was announced that there was going to be a sequel, and they just never did.
But
I said, now 10 years later,
like I said, this does feel like a soft reboot. It just feels like a totally different movie, and I'm okay with that because the first one was so miserable and depressing, but it's still a scary movie.
Right.
This one isn't scary, but it's fun and it's an easy movie to watch. It's like 80 minutes long. So
see, here's the thing: for me, had I watched the first movie, I'd probably been like, let's not do a third one, but. I would watch a third movie in this series.
Under the circumstances, clearly there's going to be a second one. We talked about that ending and how bad it is. So hopefully it'll stick the landing with a decent third movie because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But yeah, that's how we feel about the movie.
Yep.
I think audiences are liking it. It's got like a 78 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, whereas the first one has like a 45 audience score. So people are liking this more than the first one.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to agree. I liked it a little bit more. It might not be as scary, but I like it a little more.
So we're giving it all together a C.
C plus area,
So
between a C and a C plus.
Join us next week where we're going to talk about the hurricane heist.
No, we are not.
We're going to talk about if I can only imagine.
No, we are not.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, we'll watch that eventually. We'll watch Tomb Raider. We'll watch Love, Simon if we get Love, Simon.
Yeah,
I've heard really great things about that. But thank you for joining us. We had a little bit of an
do a special on Veronica.
We had an off week for videos last week, and we do plan on doing Veronica. We thought about watching it today, but we were just like, I'm too tired. And Love's on Netflix. Be prepared for a Love review too. I could actually review that today if I wanted to half the season because I've watched half the season. But I'm gonna wait till I finish it, with or without you. I'm sorry, but if you want to get started on it, you can get started on it, Josh. We love love. We love being in love. Yeah, but expect those reviews to come.
Here's the problem with Luther. He can't wait to watch things with his co-host. He's got to go run.
You need to understand.
See, he gets to watch movies at like midnight the night before they come out if he wants to.
Sometimes. We haven't in a long time.
I know.
But I love Love so much. I really do. And I was like, I've got to get started. I was like, I'll watch one episode. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll probably finish it by tomorrow. So
we're going to talk about Love. So
we're going to watch Love, Veronica, and then next week we'll have Love, Simon, and Tomb Raider. Again, thank you for joining us. If you watched Strangers Pray at Night, did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent about it? Please let us know in the comment section below, and please subscribe, and thank you for watching.